For the first time in years, whispers of a possible UK return are circling Meghan Markle, but what's grabbing attention isn't the visit itself. It's the conditions reportedly attached to it, and the timing couldn't be more telling. After years of strained headlines, conflicting narratives, and carefully managed public appearances, these new claims are raising eyebrows because they suggest something far deeper than travel logistics. According to online buzz and insider chatter, this isn't about nostalgia, duty, or reconciliation. It may be about leverage, control, and a situation that's quietly reaching a breaking point, even if the public image insists everything is fine. Reports suggesting Meghan would only consider returning to the UK under strict conditions didn't emerge in a vacuum, and that's exactly why they're resonating. After 4 years of distance, legal battles over security, and shifting public narratives, the sudden reappearance of return talks feels calculated rather than coincidental. Observers online are pointing out that when stories like this surface, it's often because something behind the scenes has changed, whether that's financial pressure, brand repositioning, or a need to reset public optics. And that context is what makes these claims feel more loaded than they might appear at first glance. According to reports circulating in Royal Watch circles, Meghan's alleged conditions include highly controlled accommodations, with claims that entire hotel floors would need to be reserved exclusively for her use. While none of this has been officially confirmed, the sheer scale of what's being discussed has fueled intense debate because it goes far beyond privacy and into the realm of total isolation. To critics, this sounds less like a protective measure and more like a symbolic line being drawn, one that reinforces separation rather than connection, and one that quietly reinforces the idea that this potential visit would happen entirely on her terms. Security has always been a sensitive issue in this story, but rumors suggest the current demands go much further than before, including full police escorts, restricted public access, and layered protection at every appearance. Sources claim she would not step foot in the UK without guarantees that mirror head-of-state treatment. And while supporters argue this is about safety, skeptics are asking a different question. Who would approve it, and who would pay for it? That question matters because it ties directly into Harry's ongoing legal disputes, making it difficult to separate personal preference from strategic pressure. What's making this situation feel even more complicated is the growing perception that Harry and Meghan are no longer operating from the same script. Over the past year, fans have noticed contradictions between statements attributed to Meghan's camp and those linked to Harry's legal and security efforts. PR experts often say that when messaging becomes inconsistent, it's rarely accidental. It usually signals disagreement behind closed doors, and this latest wave of reported demands is being interpreted by some as another crack in what's presented publicly as a unified front. The rumored Birmingham appearance tied to the Invictus Games adds another layer entirely, because Invictus is meant to center wounded veterans, resilience, and service, not celebrity spectacle. That's why claims that extreme personal requirements might be attached to an Invictus visit have struck a nerve with critics. Even if these reports are exaggerated, the optics alone are powerful, creating a contrast that's hard to ignore and prompting questions about whether personal brand priorities are beginning to overshadow the mission that once defined Harry's public purpose. One of the most discussed aspects of this story is what's been said, but what hasn't. Despite the intensity of the claims, there has been no clear, direct denial addressing the specifics, and in celebrity media, silence is rarely neutral. PR insiders often note that when untrue stories pose reputational risk, swift corrections usually follow, which is why the lack of clarification here has only amplified speculation. Whether intentional or not, the quiet response is allowing these narratives to grow, evolve, and take on a life of their own. The timing of these rumors has become a focal point for analysts, especially as questions swirl about finances, contracts, and the future direction of their foundation work. Some reports claim that recent shifts suggest consolidation rather than expansion, and when that's paired with talk of a UK return, it invites theories that this move could be strategic rather than emotional. While nothing has been confirmed, the pattern has led many to believe that this isn't about revisiting the past, but about positioning for whatever comes next. Public perception plays a huge role here, and it's impossible to ignore how much skepticism has built over time. For many observers, the issue is whether Meghan is entitled to safety or privacy, but whether current claims align with past statements and decisions. When narratives appear to contradict earlier positions, credibility becomes the casualty, and that's where the backlash intensifies, not because people want drama, but because they're trying to reconcile what they're being told with what they've already seen. At the heart of this entire conversation is a deeper theme that keeps resurfacing: control versus compromise. Reports suggest that any return would happen only if every condition is met, which some interpret as a refusal to bend under any circumstances. Relationship experts often point out that rigid conditions, especially around shared decisions, can signal deeper issues. And while this remains speculative, the framing alone has caused many to question whether flexibility still exists behind the scenes. Another uncomfortable reality hovering over this story is the question of public reception in the UK. It's no secret that Meghan remains a polarizing figure there, and some commentators believe that fear of backlash may be driving the intensity of the reported demands. Heightened security, restricted access, and controlled environments could be seen not just as protection, but as insulation from public sentiment, suggesting anxiety about how a return might actually unfold. Lost in much of the debate is how this situation places Harry himself in a difficult position. If reports are accurate, he's caught between legal battles, public expectations, and a partner unwilling to compromise without guarantees. Analysts suggest this dynamic could deepen existing strains, especially if security decisions or appearances are being dictated by conditions rather than mutual agreement, making his long-term role increasingly complicated. If a UK return does happen under these circumstances, it wouldn't be a quiet moment, it would be a statement. Whether intended or not, it would redefine how Meghan re-enters the British public sphere and set a precedent for every appearance that follows. And if it doesn't happen, that absence may speak just as loudly, reinforcing the idea that the gap between expectation and reality has become too wide to bridge without consequences. At the end of the day, all of this remains rooted in reports, rumors, and insider claims that haven't been officially confirmed. But stories like this matter because perception often becomes reality long before facts are settled. Whether these demands are exaggerated, strategic, or misunderstood, they're shaping the narrative in real time and raising questions that won't disappear easily. One thing is clear: if a return happens, it won't be simple, and if it doesn't, the reasons why may reveal far more than any official statement ever could.